Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/wizard for your free audiobook download.
Bad fucking episode.
What? Why do you always do that?
Games, video 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 games, video. Video games.
It's December 4th, 2013.
This is Idle Thumbs 134.
5.
I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Sean Vanneman.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey there.
video games.
Video games. Motherfucking video games.
We haven't recorded one of these in basically 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Wii U owner.
I know.
What's
You
up?
got a Wii U.
I got a Wii U and I was playing it. So I should talk about that.
I went to his house and played his Wii U like we were 11.
It was
Jake,
fun.
can I come over and play your Wii U? Is a thing I set into a telephone and then did
Yeah.
at 29.
Last week when Patrick was on, he'd played Mario 3D World a bunch and we were talking about it. But I had not yet bought a Wii U.
He told you not to play as Luigi. I played as Luigi. Wasn't that bad.
Luigi's great. Patrick is full of shit.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I mean,
Shots fired.
Scoops. What are you going to do? I don't know if I want to talk about Mario 3D World first because I kind of want to talk about the fact that I've been using a Wii U first because that was actually maybe more surprising to me than 3D World itself, like the actual console. Because I kind of understand all of the insane decisions that exist in the Wii U now that I've held the Wii U. That sounds like a weird like Brecken assessment. It's like I finally understand all of the everything that made no sense about it.
Brecken lives in an entire world where everything is chaos, unorganized, just mass chaos, and then all of a sudden there are these glimmers of like beautiful mind moments where he
acute clarity
understands
of
something all the way down to its atomic level and goes,
then I lost it.
I appreciated it, and then it was gone.
It was
It
gone.
was good.
It was good.
It's good. I would say
It was good.
It was good.
The whole weird conceit of the Wii U obviously is that it has that fucking monstrous tablet
Right.
thing that's like 2 analog sticks. It has all the controls of like a GameCube controller or
It's
whatever.
so much bigger than I thought it was
It's
going
just
to
this
be.
huge.
bubbly fucking beast. But it does the thing that I really like that well-designed video game interfaces do, which is you don't notice it once you're actually using it. Like I'm playing Mario 3D World and then I'm inside the main menu and I'll just realize that I've looked down and I press a button on the touchscreen and I'm I did it. Like it's not a thing that I thought I would ever use. I thought it would be annoying.
Right.
But then the way that all of the interactions between the stupid touchscreen and the stuff on the screen and the analog sticks and stuff are handled, I used it without thinking twice about it, which is not the case with the original Wii, where you're like the sort of clunky fidelity and the weird sort of like foreign learning of how to use the Wii remote to point the little finger
Oh, sure.
at the
yeah.
menus and stuff.
Yeah.
If you just throw your finger down on the touchscreen of the Wii U on the main menu, wherever you're touching is you don't have to look down at the screen because it draws the little Wii UI hand on the screen, so you can just sort of trace like a
Right.
trackpad and it shows
Yeah.
up on the TV, or you can look down and it matches.
Kind of like
it.
what Valve's doing with their controller.
Right, except that it's similar, except that in this case, since there is a touchscreen, if you also happen to be looking down because you instinctively, like your brain just goes into I'm using an iPad mode, it also is just still working because
Right.
that data is still just showing on the screen.
Yeah, sure.
It seems incredibly overwrought, but I can see why they thought it was as good of an idea as it is, because once you're actually inside of the like weird Nintendo bubble, your brain just sort of goes, oh, okay, now I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I also realize sometimes when I'm playing single player that I just stop looking at the TV and just look down at the controller, and I'm just playing it on it as if it's a handheld.
Right.
And that made me, I mean, it's a dumb thing because everyone says it, but I was like, oh, obviously now if my parents were here and I was 11, they could just change the channel and I wouldn't fucking notice.
Right.
Your girlfriend could change the channel. She could start watching.
She's not home when I play Mario.
She leaves for the day,
Get out.
and you just slowly see
time,
two
it's
delicate
Mario time.
fingers touch the
go.
deadbolt. Let's go. You whisper to a cat that looks at you with a sideways glance.
And there's also weird hardware details. Like as you turn the volume, the handheld controller has its own volume control, and as you turn that down, the volume of the TV turns up.
Weird.
So that if you have it 50-50, you sort of get the ambient volume of the TV and in the controller. I didn't know if I liked that, but I thought it was funny that it was just like,
Right.
"Oh, it's me, Mario." Like, what? Hello, I guess Mario's coming out of my TV now. Like I couldn't tell what was happening before.
Yeah.
Sorry, the attention to detail in that level is not what I was expecting because I kind of felt like the Wii was just kind of fucking sloppy with all that stuff. It felt really cheap to me, even though it was really, really incredibly popular. Like,
Yeah.
because this, like, I also understand why they called this the Wii. And
You.
I don't understand why they called it the U because it is. You can tell that the operating system and everything is very different and an evolutionary step up from the Wii. But at the same time, like when Sean came over, it's like I don't have a second controller. Wait, I think, and we just paired the original Wiimote and plugged it. And Sean was playing with that for a while, like New Super Mario Brothers, where you held it on the side like a Nintendo controller. We're like, that kind of sucks. Plug in the nunchuck, and that worked. But then when the level started. And, Sean was Luigi and I was Mario. The little, they still went to the effort to support the Wii remote speaker of the original Wii remote, of the original Wii remote.
Right.
So mine said, I'm a Mario, and his said, like, Luigi or whatever. But just, hearing, just being able to pick up hardware that I've had sitting in a drawer for, 3 years that I've never fucking turned on.
Right.
And then just have that pair instantly and be used to control a game that came out yesterday was not what I expect out of a console at this point.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So Nintendo actually they do have software parity, but you can run all your old Wii stuff, but you have to load a Wii channel, which then blows up a big SD resolution UI of the original Wii operating system. It just has a Wii emulator inside of it, which is fucking shitty. But everything else about it is just you can tell after using it exactly why Nintendo had the Wii, then made all the things that they did make, and they are logical progressions. They just are things that were not remotely appealing to me until the people who made Mario Galaxy made a new Mario game for it, which is a disaster because that's also what Nintendo knows is going to happen. It's fucking disastrous. That game's also really fun.
So for all the people who've been waiting for the Idle Thumbs impressions of the Wii U,
Sorry,
is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Don't answer that.
I would say that it's a video game console.
Oh, okay.
Join us third quarter 2014 when we review the X-Bone and the PS4.
I know, I'm sorry. It's attention the world. You have all now unwrapped and played extensively your first 2 weeks
Man, so
of
hold
your
on.
Xbox One and PS4.
Speaking of just hardware reviews, Jake and I were at lunch today with a friend of a friend who was selling us so fucking hard on the Xbox One, only because of the app switching. He's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Let's say you're just playing some Call of Duty and then you're waiting between rounds. You just flip over and watch some football or watch some Netflix and you just flip back. How often do you just flip between Netflix and what you're doing all the time? You're grinding? If you're grinding in Assassin's Creed, it's so great to watch a movie while you're doing that. And it was it was my first, we were the same age, but I still had this old man moment,
Right.
And I was hyper aware of I just don't do that.
You said that. You were I think that I'm experiencing the Danny Glover experience for the first time in my life. At lunch.
Yeah, I think that was my exact quote from it. But apparently that stuff is all super duper slick. I've only had two distant interactions with it, and that was that guy trying to say you need to buy an Xbox because of how well it integrates with cable and Netflix.
It's funny because when Patrick was on last week, he said his impression was that stuff, at the most surface level, did a really good job. But once you actually get into the details of specific use, he felt that it broke down a little bit because you can't say show me the TV but then make the game quieter. That simple level of just I want to hear the football game but I want to play the video game, you can't make it do that.
I just can't imagine I don't have the DNA or the brain wiring to sit there and wish that was a feature. You know what I mean? I can never imagine being I wish this football game was just 25% volume right now. I've never, I don't know. It's
to the
a
credit
personal...
of current video game consoles, at least we can have the conversation we just had about the Wii U and then have the conversation that we're having about the Xbox One, and they are not exactly the same fucking system.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because PS3, 360, even more extremely when it was the GameCube, the Xbox, and the PS2, is just like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to have 2 analog sticks and a DVD drive.
You're basically buying
Go.
one of these 3 circles and a
Not
Venn
with the
diagram.
GameCube.
Oh, sorry. With the GameCube, you're going to have a mini DVD drive that holds a third of the data, but otherwise it's functionally identical. God, that... No. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I want to talk about Mario 3D World a ton because we talked about it so much with Patrick last week.
I had fun playing it. This one.
Did you play any 3D Land, Sean, before we played?
No. Nope. Still plunking away at Luigi's Mansion from time to time, my 3DS, which I like very much.
Yeah, I don't know. Basically, everything that I said that I was excited about with 3D World, I'm currently excited about. So, like, I don't know if there's a whole lot more to go into with that, but like,
You correctly predicted your reaction to that game.
yes, I haven't gotten as far into it as Patrick said that I should get before my brain totally explodes. But I accidentally saw a couple screenshots of that stuff. It apparently does the thing that 3D Land does, where you think you get to the end, and then it just goes, "Oh, it's a new entire Mario game," says Mario inside of the game.
Does he refer to himself in the third person like that?
It's one of my video games.
Okay, that's different. Yeah.
No, he doesn't say that. Yeah.
That's Waluigi. You're thinking
Yeah, he breaks the fourth wall much more readily than his Wah brother. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. His Ma brother.
The worst thing. Did you see that? It's Mario news time for a minute.
Oh, there hasn't been enough of that on the podcast.
The actor who played Luigi in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show passed away today.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I was working all day.
Nearly at the end of the
Yeah.
year.
So
He could have survived.
the Year of Luigi,
Luigi.
where it's capped off in the most tragic way, where this actually has been a Luigi memorial and we didn't know it. Like, I'm actually really, like, it makes me really bummed in all possible ways. But
It's so poignant, though. God. If it was the last... I wish it was not... Well, I think now we have 3 weeks left.
I thought you were going to just say a completely different thing.
Or
What did you think he was gonna
28
say?
days left of this... 4 weeks to the day to celebrate the Year of Luigi. Now we have really something to, like, celebrate. Not how he died, but how he lived. As Luigi.
In the shadow of his older brother. Yeah, no, I thought you were going to say
in the
something.
shadow of the character who was in the shadow that he played, who was in the shadow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Do not put
bummer.
horrible words in my mouth. Whatever you thought I was going to say,
I don't
wasn't
even
going
want
to
to
say.
talk about it. Also, that guy was really old. Maybe he wasn't really old, but he's already like in his 70s, I guess. And I don't remember him looking that old in the Mario Super Show. Anyway, whatever. I saw that news and I didn't see much more than it, but I just...
You're 30-ish.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, old Mario Super Show.
20 years ago.
Yeah, so he was...
It's like I was 50? As
I don't know.
Luigi? Whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
How old do you think Luigi is in the text?
Well, the guy who played Mario already died, right?
Did he? Maybe.
Yeah, but the year for Mario is every year.
Yeah. We don't celebrate... Mario, every year is basically the
Where's
year of
Mario History Month? Am I right?
Where's the year of Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario Entertainment Television. God, someone fucking tweeted that to me when we were talking about this, and it cracked me up. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying about this, but
You're actually bummed about it.
it made me sad for many reasons. One of which was this is the Year of Luigi, and I was excited, and I was hoping that guy would actually like. It seems like the kind of guy who would show up and be like, "Oh man, it's the Year of Luigi. Remember me? I was Luigi." But instead, he fucking died.
Yeah. Lou Albano died in
This is Mario.
2009, the guy who played Mario, at age 76. Man. He was a professional wrestler. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
From 1953 until 1969, he was a professional wrestler. Think about
actually
that.
knew that.
That guy had an entire career starting in 1953, and then...
And then he's like, "What the fuck is Mario? Fine, I'll do this."
It's so weird.
A guy who was a professional wrestler in 1953 sang the Mario rap in the closing credits of every episode of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah.
He wanted you to swing your arms from side to side. I think we're done with our Nintendo news for the duration of Idle Thumbs. Until, of course, I get to the special world.
I decided to finally download either Pokemon or the new Zelda, which I have not done. Because I've been indulging in the Steam Thanksgiving sale.
What'd you get?
All sorts of stuff. I'll tell you what I got. I got a text message from Pierre Charette and Nick Brecken that simply said, "Buy NBA 2K 2014." And I went, what? And like, it's on sale. Purchase it.
Did you?
I literally went to the Steam app on my phone, purchased it, and installed it on my home computer, and then went back, switched back to on the iPhone text message screen and went, done. And they went, really? I was like, yes, it is done. So
Did you play it with them?
No, haven't done that yet.
So you bought it in a
Dota.
Steam sale, you say? This game that you bought immediately and then didn't play.
I bought that game. Hey, come on. I bought. I didn't own Fez for the PC, so I bought that, and I bought Call of Juarez Gunslinger.
Oh yeah, you're into it, right?
Yeah.
Have you played through the first hour of Fez before?
Nope. The problem is being on this podcast is that you buy games and then Chris talks about them or you talk about them for half an hour and I go, oh, I don't need to play that now because I'm not bringing any value to the podcast.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It's the fucking worst.
That's what's been the craziest thing for me about just Spelunky dominating all my gaming brain is that it's like I'm constantly racked with guilt because I know it's not going to give me anything else to talk about. On the
You're ruining the podcast. You're killing us, Chris.
I know.
The numbers are down.
Chris, when you were talking about Fez, you said that basically the second playthrough, or the back half of the play experience is when it was super, super good to you. But even
I'm sorry, what game?
Fez.
Oh, Fez, yeah.
But even knowing you're probably not going to get that far into it, or at least the odds are low,
I'll tell you why I bought it when you're ready.
I'll at least say play the first 40 minutes because it's really cool.
I totally agree with that. I agree that the opening is
because
strong. Yeah.
I'm going to do some sort of, when 2014 reveals how it can be done, I'm going to do some sort of Steam machine / whatever, stream my games from my PC to my living room TV, and then play the game with my wife.
Oh, yeah, Fez.
She
cool.
really hates being in the office.
Yep.
I'm like, come in the office, we'll play a video game. And she's like, I hate it in here.
Yeah.
Call of Juarez is fucking good. Idle Thumbs review score.
Whereas Gunslinger.
Done. Gunslinger.
There's other Call of Juarez.
Yeah, of course.
Who
I played
made this? Do you know?
Yep.
Do you want to tell me?
I don't remember. God damn it. I think Ubisoft published it.
Yeah, it's their series for sure.
It's a company.
Yeah. Video game developers work there.
Yeah. They got some programmers
Bunch of
there.
white dudes, probably. Just based on my knowledge.
Not in totality, but in...
It's developed by Techland.
Yeah, Techland. Those guys.
Who's from Poland?
Poland. So
Definitely a bunch of white dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hear about...
Oh, wait, they made... God, what did Techland... They made some kind of zombie game or something?
They made Dead Island, or some of them.
Oh, did they? They made Dead Island?
That was Deep Silver.
No, they're a publisher.
Sorry.
Oh, Techland produced Dead Island, apparently. Weird. Okay. Says the Wikipedia. Anyway, you want to talk about this game?
It's good. It's a good game. The thing that's... I think people have already said this a lot, but it's just a really... The clever framing device for the game...
No, they developed Dead Island.
Is clever. It is good and affecting.
Are you not saying it because it would? Be
no, I'm going to say what it is. I'm just.
Are you saying it backwards?
I'm saying it backwards because I
talk around
assume that because I'm whatever. It came out in October, a couple months behind on the game, that people have heard a little bit about it. But
I haven't really actually.
Yeah, neither
so the opening cutscene of the game is actually important and not just some bullshit. And it's this 2D flats basically, but your guy is a bounty hunter who walks into a bar and somebody recognizes him and then says, I'm going to buy you a beer. And then a conversation starts between you, who's the bounty hunter named Silas, I think, and then the bartender. I think you are a gunslinger. I mean, the game is
gunslinger.
The game is
titular.
very robust with gunslingers of all shapes and sizes.
Right.
So Call of Juarez Gunslinger is
singular,
probably is more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just kind of started it, so
sure.
I don't know if at one point some guys died.
Maybe one gunslinger will become so preeminent in the events of the game that it will become clear why they only named it.
I would assume it is the protagonist, which would be me. But I mean, look, this game's already so it's like
when someone goes, "Think you're a gunslinger?"
Right.
No, I think it would be
and
a
then
guy.
The title card comes up.
You shoot a guy in a duel, and then it's like, nice shot. Gunga galunga. Guns. Gunga galunga. Bill Murray's the best. Gunslinger. And then he dies.
It's very specific content.
Spoilers here. Spoilers within. Yeah, I'm only a few levels in. Decided to play games slowly. But so you're in this bar, there's bartenders, like a cast of characters, and there's a young kid who's like reading about you right now in like a dime store novel or like a serial comic. And then there's like some floozy who's unfortunately rendered as some floozy, and an old guy with like an eye patch. But they all kind of know a little bit about you or want to know more about you. So he starts saying like, oh yeah, like he was on the run, or he had this he was embroiled in some drama with Billy the Kid, and the story starts, and then it's just all framed through him telling the story of his life experience.
Is that through narration or something?
Yeah, but the narration isn't just Bastion style, so I go upstairs and there's Billy, which happens. Mm-hmm. It's also the other characters in the bar commenting and asking questions about it. So it's like, oh my God, then what'd you do? Were they tough? Where were they? And so you're in a big gunfight, and basically all the things that happen in a first-person shooter action video game are all given context in a really refreshing way. So when there's a wave, he's like, these guys just kept on coming. They must have come on down from Oklahoma, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just blasting these guys in the game, in real time. Yeah. And my guy is talking and telling the story in the bar. But that level of detail to this stupid fucking... that would just be treated as a thing you do in a Halo. Yeah. It's like, oh no, there's just a wave of guys because that's what you put here. There's 4 waves and you're going to clear it. The fact that each one of those isn't always given that level of context, but can readily be given that context inside of the framing device is so refreshing. And the voice, the dialogue's good, and the voice acting is good. But it does another thing that it might put some people off.
Is this the thing you tweeted about? Because I was going to ask you about it.
No, that thing is actually really good. I see your eyes. You don't think it's good? It's fucking good. I'll sell you on it.
All right, keep going.
But it does another thing, which is, he tells us, he's like, so run on down to the stable, and he gets in there. This is in the first act, so I'm not really spoiling anything, or the first level.
God, a guy goes to a stable. Well, and
what's
even the point of playing the game?
In there, he finds the sheriff. And
what are you doing?
There's a sheriff in this,
and the kid the kid that you in the bar pipes up, and you hear him be like, "Oh no, I totally know what happens because I just read this. You guys got into a crazy gunfight," and then sure enough, you're now drawing down on each other, and it introduces the gunfight mechanic. Yeah. And he's asking questions about gunfighting to your character in VO while you're doing it. Yeah. And it's well handled. It's not super, it doesn't come across as tutorial or anything like that. It's all in world. It's all just flavor.
So I pressed the A button.
Yeah. There's none of that shit. Yeah. All that stuff is on screen UI, which is fine. But you get in this really bloody gun battle where you learn to shoot a guy in the face, and it's grotesque and there's blood everywhere, and then your main character just goes, yeah, that's a great story, but that's not at all what happened, and then shows you the very human real thing that happened, which is him just getting fucking cold clocked, just knocked out, and then it brings you to the next level, and so it's nice that everything that happens that's sort of larger than life in the game that is just absurd and almost Michael Bay-esque is all ends up being framed oftentimes as tall tale because he's negating it even though you're playing through it as real, and then it rewinds or it jumps back or something like that, so it does jump back and then you experience it a different way, and all that stuff works really well. It feels like a very honest way to do a lot of video game nonsense, sure. And I think you only probably get one chance at doing that. Somebody can't bite this style.
That's the same way I felt about Spec Ops, right? Where I don't know if you play that, but
I think it's
you can kind of do it once and then.
I would say it's a much better game holistically than Spec Ops.
No, I believe that.
Spec Ops doesn't feel like a holistic piece.
Yeah,
to me.
No. I agree that game wasn't fully successful in what it tried to do. I just meant, it felt similar to me of this conceit is so specific and constructed that you couldn't just have it be a normal thing that games do all the time, or else it would lose all value.
Well, Spec Ops felt, this is not at all this isn't insight into the development or anything. Yeah. But the mechanism of Spec Ops felt like a solution to a bland game. Like, how do we make this game specific and unique? Whereas Call of Juarez Gunslinger feels like the day one creative conceit. Everything we do is going to be framed towards this device, and this is why we're making the game.
I really want to play it.
And that's fucking a big deal to me.
I think the reason why it's a more appealing pitch to me than Spec Ops, having not actually played either of those games yet, is the sort of the things that you expect in the already existing narrative genre of like Old West tall tales is the exact imagery that you see in this game. So
Exactly.
it's like,
That's exactly right.
I know what this is as a game. It's this other type of game, but now we can actually like make it make sense versus being like,
like if you shoot some guy,
the things that you do in a game
yeah.
are so terrible. So let's tell you that they're terrible versus being like this pre-existing genre is fun and over the top because of these things. Okay, good. Our job's done. Like,
right?
It's coming at it from the opposite
It feels
side.
like genre is really
want,
intelligently considered.
The thing I don't know if I actually want this necessarily, but a thing that just popped into my brain as you were describing the conceit of the game is a moment where, I don't know, like you could just imagine a situation in which the main character has a contract to like find and kill a guy or something, and like there's like you could go either way with this depending on whether you want the main character to be like sympathetic or not. But you could imagine a version where the people hearing the story are like, oh, and you found him, and like, oh, I heard about this. Like, you just let him go. Like you just said never come back and leave, and then you're in the fucking gameplay that your guy just shoots him in the head and says yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if something like that can happen yet because I'm only in maybe an hour and a half in, not very far, and all the tools are there for that stuff to exist.
Right.
Which is exciting to me. Yeah. I'm excited by what's going to happen narratively in a fucking video game.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm really, really stoked about it. But the thing that you raised an eyebrow to, which is I was playing the game and he was talking about being locked in jail, which is the second level. And as he's locked in jail, he says he's just having a conversation about trying to get out of here. But I was like, I really need to kill these subtitles because they're no good. I just gotta. They're not working for me. So I hit start to tear off the subtitles, and the whatever VO line was in the middle of being played, just sort of like continued to execute. And the way that the UI is drawn over the game is just sort of like the way I would describe the feeling of it is like when you're looking at whatever you're experiencing in real life. Like I'm looking at you right now, and then like I know I need to turn my phone off because I heard it just buzz. But I'm thinking about that, but I'm still looking at you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hold on, let me just turn the subtitles off. But I'm still seeing what's in front of me.
Right.
And I'm finishing my thought.
Sure.
And I'm changing my attention to this thing and bringing back to it. It's totally works.
Huh.
It's fucking clean and nice.
Can't you imagine a time where that would be kind of annoying, though? Like if you actually are just like getting a phone call you need to take, or if someone comes into your room and like actually just needs to talk to you. I mean, I guess it's not that big a deal, but it just seems like the kind of thing that would just be kind of irritating.
But I mean, I think the game knows it's not. It's first off, you're not in the menu that often. Like I just really like you're either in the menu to quit out of the game.
He means like if you just hit pause it to put the game down for a minute.
I mean, like
the game doesn't continue forever. It just finishes its thought.
Yeah, I know. I guess if the lines aren't that long, I guess it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of like if I pause a game, it seems like it feels to me just. My knee-jerk reaction, obviously not based on having played it, but it just seems like that would be kind of annoying, but maybe not.
It's not because it's there. You would have like unless you pause the game and sprint out of the room, like you're not. Right. It's not. It's just a nice, smooth transition into the menu.
Sure,
that's the only way I would describe it.
Okay,
and it doesn't. The menus don't. Like the background of that is the menus don't seem like an afterthought.
Yeah.
The menus seem like, and all the UI. Jake would appreciate this. It's all cleanly integrated into the game as part of the game.
Right.
Even though you're not playing the menu or anything like that. Like, the UI designer on this game is fucking good. Like, that guy...
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I would, like,
I'm super curious to check this out now.
Yeah, it's great. I'm hopefully it's like I don't go on a podcast after playing 90 minutes of it and be like, buy it! And then play, 180 minutes of it and go... Oh,
right.
Fuck. When it makes a terrible turn.
And right. And I'm not predicting this at all or anything, but saying that reminds me of F.E.A.R. God, was it F.E.A.R 3, I guess?
F.E.A.R?
F.E.A.R, yeah. I think that's the one I'm thinking of, F.E.A.R 3. Maybe it was F.E.A.R 2. God, I can't even remember. One of the sequels to F.E.A.R starts out and you're, I mean, I guess they all kind of start like this, I guess, in a way. But like,
You're afraid?
you have like a team and you're going into this, you're trying to find the girl Alma like you do in those games. And
Alma.
And you go into like a hotel or something, or like an office building. I can't remember.
Abandoned one.
Yeah.
Is it haunted?
Everything's basically abandoned and haunted.
It's sort of green.
Like all of the above, always. And like there's just the beginning of whichever one it is, F.E.A.R 2 or F.E.A.R 3. I hate that I can't think of it. Is just really front loaded with a lot of really, I think, super charming like banter between you and your squad mates, and like they're giving each other shit about like past experiences they've had, and like kind of like just doing things that you would imagine these characters doing and saying, given like the characters are supposed to portray. And like it came off as very human and like believable to me. And that lasts for like the first like 2 levels of the game basically. And then it just becomes kind of just a shooter. And it feels like, and what I heard was that the guy, so Craig Hubbard, actually, who Steve interviewed on
Tone Control
recently.
A podcast that I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's available on the Idle Thumbs podcast network.
Oh, would it be located maybe at like idlethumbs.net/tone control?
That's a good place to start. And if it's not there, I would probably check tonecontrol.com.
Reboot your computer,
I feel like the most recent episode of Tone Control might feature Far Cry 2 creative director Clint Hawking talking about the creation of Far Cry 2. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Wait, is Far Cry 2 that game that we like?
That might have been Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 1.
I think it was 2. I think it was 2.
Okay.
I think we've talked about it on the podcast before. If we haven't, you guys should definitely check out Far Cry 2.
I don't know what episode we talked about Far Cry 2 on, but
I think it was semi-recent.
I think it was all of them. I think it was all the episodes. So I could be wrong.
Show me all the episodes.
Yeah, show me
all the episodes.
Yeah, definitely the way the future.
Hey, you should probably actually listen to Tone Control this week because Clint Hawking's on it, and it's a really good episode.
And then rewind one episode and listen to Mr. Hubbard talk about.
Was that just the previous one? Yeah.
Talk about some things you were about to talk about.
Yeah, so he basically did like he was the guy who was
that was the best ad read we've ever done for anything on Idle Thumbs, by the way. So let's just keep going now.
Second best.
He was the creative director on the No One Lives Forever games, and then also the original F.E.A.R. And I just can't remember off the top of my head, like the degree to involvement in 2 and 3 at a specific level. But I heard he did kind of a writing pass on the early stuff in this game, and I remember thinking like, oh man, I wonder if that's why it feels like it just tonally is
when
so
you're in the
strong.
Hubbard zone.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, it's tough though. Like, not a lot of games of that genre can maintain the stuff that they often put in the first
because
chunk
it's so
of the game.
dense, and you need like tons of content in those games that's
Right.
repeatable.
Well, you also, I mean, you've created a very hyper-specific verb set that negates your ability to really wander a wider path than the killing.
Right.
And I feel like...
But the stuff that the player is doing for the entire game is basically going to be killing guys.
Right. Well, the
So
thing,
like,
I mean,
how
I
long
will
does
say...
that tall tale last, right? Like,
Well, with Juarez, you get a little wider path, I think, just because so much of what you hear about in like Old West tall tales are like shootouts and gang fights
Totally.
and whatever. And it all there's something about it being of such a far gone era that it ranks up there with sort of like slaying an orc. Which is gross, but you know what I mean, though? It's like it doesn't feel real because it's cowboys shooting bandits.
There's only so much
it's a
of that
thing
that
that
you can...
largely exists in mythology.
You know what's funny is I was running through the first level and I was like, man, this is gross. Like there's this, like I shot a guy in the eye, but I'm like, whatever, it's a fucking Cowboys game. Like whatever, bandits.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel bad at all, but I was like, this is gross. But no, I felt like a little kid who's sort of old enough to like imagine really gross shit happening, you know what I mean? Who's like a little kid who probably saw Die Hard, but still playing make-believe with his buddies running around the backyard. Like that era of kid.
Not who mimes the eye splatting out with his hand.
Yeah. It's like, oh, sick. Like grody. Like I felt like that, And I
felt like a kid saying grody.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. But that's really a nuanced, that's a very specific feeling because it doesn't, even though to like the naked eye, it still is like pound for pound the same grotesque violence you'd see in GTA. The framing device of it and the way I experience it, and this is all social coding. I'm not trying to judge this up or down or right or wrong. Like this is probably just as fucked up. Lets me experience it the same way I would play like Cowboys shoot 'em up with my buddies when I was 8 or 9.
Right.
You know. And that was really fun. But because like there's a small little piece of my brain that wants to hold on.
That's an adult? Oh.
That wants to hold on to cynicism. No, that probably is just being an adult. It's sort of like, I shot a guy in an eye and I was like, oh, sick! Like in my brain. And then I went, if I have to shoot an Indian, this is going to take a turn. Like that's what I thought to myself. Like if they make me shoot an Indian, I'm fucking over it. Like I can't handle it. I'm going to have to walk away from this fucking game. But I haven't done that yet. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Check back next week. I'll just put the gun down.
Either way, there's no way this thing can sustain at that level for 10 hours and continue to be fresh unless it is paced in a way that, like, a full fucking fade out.
Oh my God, can I tell you?
5 minutes stop or 5 seconds stop, and then at this point I could probably stop playing for a minute and come back refreshed, or I can make the choice to just continue to.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say at that point in the game, they're just like the story reaches a point where your narrator's. And then I killed a lot of guys. 6 more. Like they get exhausted. Their like, patience as
that's when it just has like he slings 2 shotguns.
Yeah, then
over
it's still
himself,
guns,
5
lots of
bandoliers.
guns.
Yeah, I never hear from the cast of characters that I've grown accustomed to the entire time.
That's pretty much what happened.
And then you hear the kid just go, Grody.
At the very end,
No, you got the 80s movie kid.
Golly.
I think you'd probably want to go full 80s, just have that kid go, holy shit. Like, he's suddenly like the fat kid who says that also probably.
Right.
Yeah. No, I just mean, I think even if they keep up specific content of the level that it sounds like they have,
All right.
8 hours of that, you're going to just be like, shut up.
Can I tell you what my hope is? And
Okay.
this is seriously like
I want to hear your hope.
GameSpot commenter like just
I hope they have 8 hours of unique dialogue.
I saw that the game was originally priced at $30 or $25 or something, and I went, oh, thank fucking Christ! I hope it's only 4 hours.
That's the actual opposite of a game. It's the same like mentality, but just the opposite desire of every GameSpot
the fact that I could
commenter.
buy 4 hours
if
of
it's
game
4
for
hours and
$30,
it's
like,
that-
I would have bought this for $60 if it was 4 hours.
But
Yeah, right.
if it's that dense and just ends,
Oh my
it'd be
gosh!
amazing.
Yeah.
But I bet
If
it's like 20.
If it's 4 hours and I don't shoot a Native
probably like
American
this.
or
That
an
would be
American
my guess.
Indian
That's what
to
everything
be
is
to
now.
be appropriate, then I will a solitary 1 tier will fall.
Yeah.
Is that what will happen?
Like that in an American Indian with a guy who litters.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, we've talked about this before. Jake is destroying himself right now.
But because what's funny is I don't know. We were in the car or something, and we were just talking about Gone Home's reception.
Yeah.
And this isn't to be Gone Home apologist and the Idle Thumbs cabal, but we were talking about.
It might actually be a cartel. I was checking in with that 4chan image. We'll call it the cabal. We know what it is. They misnamed it. The guy got it wrong.
So listen up, sheeple, because this is fucking real. You were talking about Gone Home being like 3 hours for $20. And we would have been sitting right here actually, but not the mics run on it. And you said, well, if it was 9 hours for $60, nobody would have a fucking problem with it because that is how long you expect a 60-hour game to be.
Right.
And that is the exact same ratio of minute per dollar to Gone Home.
And even if you beat Gone Home in like 2 hours, it's basically in the same ballpark. And we were also talking, I remember, about BioShock
That was
Infinite.
actually, it was in reference to Burial at Sea, because Burial at Sea is
Burial at Sea. I think I heard Barry, like the
It's
guy's name.
the amount of playtime that Burial at Sea
Burial
is.
at Sea.
Burial?
Like Burial at Sea is, what is it, $20? No.
It's 15, I think.
$20 for the.
It was
for
two.
both
I think it was about
It's
2 hours
15,
for $15.
But it's
which
about
is-
a quarter of the length of BioShock Infinite's single player campaign.
right for a quarter of the
And
price.
people were
yeah.
fucking going apeshit because it was
Yeah.
$15
But
for...
yeah, it seems like most of these games end up falling in roughly that, essentially that ballpark, right? They're all different. Obviously, they're not all precisely
Right.
rated for that. But I mean, like ultimately,
look,
it's about
you're paying
what it
a
is.
little under $7 an hour for entertainment. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to a movie this weekend. Did you pay a little under $7 an hour to see your movie at a nice theater? Exactly. Like, I don't know.
But also, like,
Who gives a fuck?
but yeah,
I just want something that's good.
right. I mean,
I just want
even-
something that's good.
No, I feel the same way. Like that's one of the things that makes it so hard for me to have those conversations in the first place. Because I just don't. I've realized actually the way that I consume video. We've probably talked about this on the podcast before. I guess the way I play video games, either I want it to be of like eminently reasonable length, or I'm just
Infinitely
going
replayable.
Yeah,
Like
it's got to be. Like it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to play a game that is just normally going to take 20 hours. I don't want to do it, and I know there's lots of people who do. And it's fine that they do.
You want the couple
but-
hours.
But I'm also
I
not
just-
worried about those games going away ever. I'm really not worried about
Exactly.
Skyrim scale games disappearing off
Yeah,
the face
I'm
of the
not.
earth.
I'm not either, right? Because they're
Yeah.
super successful. So
Oh man, we bought all these PC parts today,
yeah.
and one of them's coming with Assassin's Creed Black Flag,
Oh, I want to play that.
Wait, it's coming with that, and it's also coming with what?
Splinter Cell Blacklist, because it's Black Friday deal.
What?
Black Flag Blacklist.
No, hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually really want to play Black Flag because I was talking about it.
Black Flag.
Black Flag. Your fucking Black Flag. I was talking to some coworkers about that game.
About what game?
Black Flag.
Okay.
And
Well, that's about the end of that.
That's I had to get one more out.
yep, it's dead now.
What's dead?
The game that I just mentioned,
Oh,
Assassin's Creed 4.
the Black Flag.
The Black Flag. And they were saying some shit about the framing device in that game that sounded the most insane.
Oh, like the
bonkers,
Animus?
No.
way crazier.
Apparently,
than the Animus.
apparently, what I heard, the gist of what I heard was that
Are these AC4 BF spoilers?
this is an AC4 BFS.
Oh, I don't know if I can experience this. Listeners,
I'm gonna tell you that what I heard is that you are an Animus QA person.
I've heard this too.
Who's going inside of the content as ostensibly a fictional tester, and then you rate the content when you get through it.
Oh, I didn't hear the rating part.
Apparently-
but I heard that you like come upon the box for this video game in the game. Like you
Oh my
find.
God, I totally wish I did not have an NDA from not the last job I had, but the job before that, because I have a fucking story about this type of framing device. It would have been amazing if they actually made the game. Sorry.
Good. Thanks
I'll
for
tell.
saying
I'll
that.
tell you. Sorry, that's fucking good.
Sean's just like a subtweet.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah,
the
sorry,
thing
I
that's
didn't
weird to me about it is that
delete all that.
No.
it seems. I guess the way that why is
so
that
much
not
better-
the only thing anyone's saying about this game? Right?
It's so much more hilarious than I'm the guy who's going to go inside this Animus. Like it's way better.
Yeah.
To be like, what's this video game? It's got a video game with a video game, and I'm a pirate. Like, fucking weird. Anyway, I'm also an old man now who's discovered my own inner old man.
It only
Anyway,
would
it
be better
makes
if you
me wanna-
whistled on some of your vowel pronunciations.
A salty pirate. Like,
Yeah, it makes me want to play this game though, just to see how far they push it. Because this
Well,
series,
you and I talked about this on Idle Thumbs 67,
what?
Rolling with the Pope.
Okay,
I remember it because it was one of the first Idle Thumbs I was.
it was probably like 57.
57 maybe. Yeah, we were in the Fox Plaza.
yeah, that was
Studio.
Assassin's Creed 2, probably. That
Yeah,
we were talking about.
yeah. When you were talking about this mugging guys, like
Yeah,
you were,
right.
like
Yeah.
wilding out like
Yeah.
Diddy,
yeah,
and we just talked about how these games would be completely compelling, like.
yeah. If they didn't have all that bullshit in them.
Yeah. And it doesn't make the game better. It doesn't make the franchise more sellable. They never use any of the Animus.
At
like-
least in this one, they might be doing something weird with it.
Right.
but
No,
you know
that's
what's
what's so
funny is
funny
they
about it.
never-
It sounds so.
Wait, you guys
bonkers.
both had something that was funny about it.
I wouldn't, but funny
Go
not
ahead.
haha. Funny as
I know, but you can-
peculiar.
Oh, like a clown, like it amuses you.
Yeah, get your fucking shine bucks. Funny like peculiar is that they never use any of that framing device to actually sell or market the game to the public. Like none of that stuff is ever
It
wrapped
only
up.
markets it to nerds
But in where? Like in like it doesn't do it in the trailers. It
on
doesn't
the
do it-
internet.
Does it
I
really
guess
though?
in,
I
in
imagine the
conversation.
people-
like,
people
oh,
who-
this time we're gonna be.
Yeah, I think it's there to give to add.
we play as Walter.
For the people who write the Wikia articles,
It's there to
like,
add like lore-based
Yeah.
talking
I
points
think-
to
I
people
think
who
you
are
are
like,
right
what does
about that.
Animus mean? Are we? You know, like
I don't
it's
know. It
just-
feels like they felt like they needed that 6 years ago when the first Assassin's Creed came out. They were
Yeah, but
like,
the
we
way
need
that-
a framing device because we can't just do something.
right,
It's
but see,
historical fiction.
You're right, but the thing is, people who make video game lore, I feel like have a weirdly high idea of how can like how consistent their canon needs to be.
I write video game lore, Chris.
We've all written video game lore.
We've all written goblin lore.
We all have, but I don't think any of us have made sequels. I guess, Jake, you worked on...
I worked on
Sam Max.
3 Sam Max games. And
Those
Monkey
games are
Island.
like the least canonical games.
we were also on Monkey Island.
We worked on the 5th Monkey Island game, which
that's
was
true.
in
That's
canon.
true. That is canon.
But the thing
Poker
at the
Night
same point,
2.
at the same point, like to your point, like
It's not the same.
we go into a meeting room and we're like, oh god, I hate the fucking canon. I don't want to hear a word about it. Let's just tell a good story and make sure it doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And
it seems very much. I think that it was not. We need to have lore because it was cool. My suspicion is, from moment one, they were like, Assassin's Creed is mechanics in a setting like this. It's not about the Crusades, but it's about like how can we extrapolate this? If we have to sell it in a room at Ubisoft, you're like, and then maybe in the next one, you're in colonial America, and they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You can't just be like, well, you're his great grandson. You're like, well, get this.
right.
You're inside of a virtual world that lets you go into any point in history that you want, and then you can be the assassin.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll greenlight that. Like that's. I think that's probably where that fucking shit came from.
You know what though? I think like, to the
so.
point about your lore, I don't like your lore point. But I don't think it's necessarily
Concerning your lore point.
I don't think it's necessarily like something inherent to people who make video games. What I think it is it's more the thing you do hate, which is a prescribed like style of creative expression where it's like, oh, we have
you got to get your lore locked in.
Yeah, you got to lock, and people
lore.
are like, oh, fuck, I fucking figure out how to make this all sync up with canon because otherwise the fans are. I don't think it's actually like
that's
an
actually
engine
just genre
inside.
Fiction that is serialized.
But I think the creators like that stuff. I mean, I
don't know. I think that's an unfair assertion to make.
Why is that less fair than you're kind of asserting a like sort of audience contempt though, right? Like, why is that good?
No, it's not necessarily for the audience. I'm saying because the same reason you put certain features into a first-person shooter, like, oh, you have to have this. You have to have upgradable weapons. You have to have this because that's what people do now. I feel like people do the exact same thing with creative content because, well, we have to have lore and we have to have stuff that explains it all because that's what you do.
I think there are people inside of video game development who like creating lore, but I also think, like, George R.R. Martin obviously fucking loves lore, and the common denominator is they're writing fantastical serialized genre fiction.
Right, but he's not doing that just because he thinks that's what people want. He probably fucking super loves it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's probably true at a lot of video games.
I think lore is sometimes a just prescribed convention as opposed to it is to, like, people.
I suspect
really
both things are true.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I think
that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's a lot.
I'm sure. I do think that it's...
I'm trying to just be a little more fair to the people working in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people who work in the industry, a lot of them have a lot of the same taste as the people they're making games for, which is why they're making games for those people.
It's funny that when you come out of a GDC, though, and you don't feel that way. Because, like, you know what I mean? You go out drinking with people, and they're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to make a stupid fucking thing about this.
Yeah, but I meet a lot of developers who, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying this as a slam. I meet a lot of developers who really just do think that stuff is awesome.
I think that is totally true, and I think sometimes it is. Like, I watch a fuckload of TV and read books like that and play games like that, and I enjoy it. I don't like making it, but I also think Sean's point is probably also true and probably increasingly true because there are things like a independent game studio founded recently called No Goblin, which is a code for don't put fucking goblin shit lore in your video game.
Yeah.
So
who founded No Goblin?
Dan Teasdale, I think.
Oh, really? Uh-huh. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. If I'm getting that wrong, sorry to everyone involved.
But yeah, I mean,
Dan's current employer.
I think the same way that what you were just saying about GTA scope games and Skyrim scope games are always going to exist, there are going to be just like lore tomes are not going to disappear. But I think there are people who have felt like they've been working on games that have to have tomes of lore who probably don't want to be doing that anymore, and it's because it's
I'm sure that's true.
Obligatory.
I wonder how much of the anime stuff is just grandfathered into the franchise, though. Where it was like, you put it in the first one because it was a video game and you wanted to have the digital, like glitching out shit on the front of the thing, and then they put all that stuff in to make it feel like fresh and like of the moment.
Well, and now
they're like, oh, it's a multi-million-dollar franchise.
It's a yearly sequel, yearly animus.
What? We have to hold on to the animus?
Well, every year.
Can't delete the animus.
This is one of the reasons.
Animus is a pillar.
Assassin's Creed without animus. It's just Creed.
Negative miss.
Yeah.
One of the things one of the reasons I want to play Assassin's Creed 4 is because with Assassin's Creed,
you want to find out what's going to happen inside of the animus.
Well, I want to know if the Pope is still around, the alien Pope. No, but
There wasn't an alien pope.
There was like Pope visited by aliens. It's pretty similar.
Was it really?
Well, in the end of Assassin's Creed 2, you're hanging out with the Pope and there's an alien there, and like they're having. I mean,
Are you like trolling right now? Is it the serious thing? I don't believe you right now.
Assassin's Creed 2 was about like aliens who have technology on the planet that's like in a staff or an apple or whatever. And the reason people in history are powerful is because they have the alien apple or the alien.
Are you fucking reading a Mad Lib? That's not true. Is that real?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what that game is. And the Pope has like the Pope staff has the like alien power, but you get it, I think. And
What are the chances that alien power is what creates the Animus later?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm 90% certain this is what that game is
It's
about.
fine. You know what? We don't need to validate this. We've said we're not sure if it's true.
Your earnestness was enough.
But anyway, the reason I'm bringing
so
it
that's
up,
either true or it was an amazing misread of Assassin's Creed 2.
Anyway, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because it felt like in that game, because I after that game I got pretty burned out on Assassin's Creed, and I only played bits and pieces of the next few.
I only played 1 and then
Brotherhood,
but
yeah.
only mostly multiplayer.
Yeah, I played all the way through 1 and 2, and then like some of Brotherhood and Revelations.
I kind of wanted to play 3 because I
And
thought
I didn't play 3 at all.
the American
actually.
Revolution stuff was interesting.
Yeah.
But
I was so burned out from those first two.
It's the
It
first
lasted.
90
The
minutes.
burnout lasted years for me.
It takes me too long to get into those games.
No, I agree. But anyway, so the reason I bring it up is because it felt like they went super. It felt like those games had a high point of earnestness of that totally ridiculous lore, where they were playing it 100% straight, and it was like, no, this insane alien bullshit is super legit, and it's like this crazy conspiracy, and like it really
You better
matters.
care about revealing the truth of this alien pope.
That's how those feel to me, and I thought it was just super absurd. But it's the stuff I've heard about Assassin's Creed 4 sounds like they've just gone so far that it's just like, what if he was like playing the video game of the video game in our video game? Like that's what it's.
Why did you turn it into like Albert Finney talking about it?
I don't know. It just seemed like the whole thing just sounds like someone.
That was in a boardroom.
Yeah, it just seemed.
That's Chris's classic boardroom voice.
I haven't played it, so obviously I can't speak to it in detail. But the way it was described to me makes it sound like it must have been tongue in cheek to some degree, right? Like you couldn't put your own game inside your game without having it be a little bit.
We'll have a copy of it in like 2 days, and we'll play it.
Yeah. And that's the reason I'm
kind of excited.
That's one of the reasons I kind of want to see what it is, because it just seems like it must be over the top in some weird way.
Well, you do play as a pirate assassin who crawls all over the place and stabs people indiscriminately.
Those games are already like totally, absurd in the things they depict literally, but then they match it with this like super self-serious, absurd story.
Maybe the guy you're playing, the QA guy, is also a narrator over the top of it, but he's telling his QA buddy how bullshit the game is.
So then I like stole a ship. I don't know, like whatever. Yeah.
Oh shit! So much better last week.
This build sucks.
1 star.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a lot to talk about a game that none of us have
Assassin's
played.
Creed 4.
This is the classic idle thumb situation where there's like,
we've really beaten
1,000 people listening.
To death.
Exactly. I don't think we're actually making any connections with this ghost horse.
From like a fourth person, from another perspective, from a fourth person's perspective, we're just sitting there kicking nothing.
And then also getting really excited about a thing that is not there. Also.
But then there's
also restraining each other. You're like, blah, blah, he's had enough.
Okay.
But there's also got to be people listening to this who are just screaming at
like,
their fucking
I've played
iPods.
10 hours of
You
this.
fucking idiots don't know anything what you're talking about. Like, I mean,
I'll unsubscribe to the
guaranteed.
podcast.
That's fine. They've stopped listening and have erased us.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
It's fine.
Video games.
And thanks to our sponsor for this week, Audible. You can go to audiblepodcast.com/wizard for a free audiobook download with your 1-month trial of the service. And you can keep the book forever, which is still amazing.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And this week's recommend comes from kind of Chris and my wife, which I would say is, what were you guys doing together reading books?
Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, we were reading books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Which is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet by David Mitchell, narrated by Jonathan Arris and Paula Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
David Mitchell is the guy who wrote Cloud Atlas.
Yes. Correct. If you
loved
only saw
this
the
novel.
movie Cloud Atlas, probably has no bearing on anything.
unrelated to this recommendation.
To this recommendation.
Yeah.
But you really loved this novel.
I absolutely adored it.
Amelia is going bonkers over this novel.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. In a way, like, she's been reading a lot of, like, books that I've been wanting to read. I'm like, oh yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, it's good. And this is the one that she said was really, really, really fantastic.
Yeah, it is. This was the novel. I believe it's the next novel Mitchell wrote after Cloud Atlas. I remember reading it right when it came out because I read Cloud Atlas, I guess, soon enough that I was thinking, oh wow, I like this author clearly. And then I saw this new book was coming out, and I got really excited. It is about a Dutch sailor, I suppose, who ends up in a Dutch port in Japan during a period in history when Japan was almost entirely closed off to foreign trade. But they did have limited contact with the Dutch. And so it takes place in kind of an enclave in this very kind of insular country. And it's a really beautiful depiction. This character, one of the things I like about it is how earnest this character is.
The protagonist?
The protagonist, yeah. Jacob de Zoet, however you say it. I don't even know.
You know how to find out, right?
Merrick Braunstring.
I would probably listen to the audiobook for the correct pronunciation. That's what I would do.
Good idea.
Hey, man. Just helping you out.
Yeah.
You know how you can listen to the audiobook?
I would probably start by going to audiblepodcast.com/wizard.
That's a brilliant first step.
Yeah.
What is the title of this book again? Sorry.
The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. Zoet.
You'd also
Unclear.
know that.
Unclear. But not to cut you off about
No worries.
describing with the book. Yeah. When does he? So how far into the book does he realize he's in an animus? It being historical and all.
Right,
There's no
of
way
course.
he could actually be experiencing this now while I'm reading the book in 2013.
Mitchell keeps that part of it pretty subtle. The fact
He plays
that
that pretty
in
close to the vest.
An extensive virtual reality device. He
Given
downplays
the existence
that,
of Cloud Atlas, that would not be that shocking if that book secretly existed inside the lens of another thing.
Yeah.
But
not for this ad read to go on too long. But going from, because I was curious as what Cuckoo's Calling, which was the read from a few weeks ago, would sound like going from my head to an Audible book. How is the audiobook, Jake?
it's actually different than I would have expected after having read a little bit of it. Like it's read in a surprisingly methodical way, but that actually makes sense for that book because what you didn't sell me on last time when you were talking about it is that this book is just an intense procedural. Like it's just scene after scene after scene of a guy talking to another person and then writing down what they say.
Yeah, there's a lot of interviews. Yeah.
I really like it because
it has a Rashomon-like quality.
It's an interesting book to hear in audiobook form because it's just a person talking about this detective effectively just going from room to room and then just methodically going through the scene and going, huh. But I've been really enjoying it.
No, you'll like it.
It's good.
So this is the detective novel by J.K.
Rowling. Yeah, called The Cuckoo's Calling, which Sean talked about it last week. But anyway, I've been listening to it on Audible and I've been enjoying it a lot.
Cool. So yeah, you can listen to audiblepodcast.com/wizard for your free download and trial of the service. Keep the book no matter what.
Video games.
Video games.
Talking about Black Friday.
It's great deals.
Go to Target. Go there. Microwaves for $7.
Guys punching each other.
Running over babies. Despicable. We gotta get the deals. What? I'm just fucking taking your gag all the way to the end.
That's true.
It's your goof, not my goof.
It's my goof.
That's my goof.
That's my
goof.
Hey! And now we're back where we belong in that joke.
What?
I don't know. That's all going. Oh, it's like you say. That's my goof. Like it's the
That's my goof is either an '80s TV show that's fictional or it depends on how you say it. It's like
It could be a game show.
exactly. I was gonna say. Oh, is that kid from That's My Goof?
I think it could be an '80s TV that's fictional, or it could be a game show tonight on FX. Like,
No, it could be that's my
right, but that still could be an 80s.
I don't think that's as good as like
That's my
Corey
Goof.
Feldman stars and that's my
Right,
Goof.
and that's my Goof.
Yeah.
Is he like a
Corey-
Dennis the Menace, like, esque?
Yeah, he's like a kid. No. He's a kid who grows up in New York on the Lower East Side, whose uncle is like a really like down and out comedian, and he thinks that one day he's going to be a really successful comedian. So it's called That's My Goof. Yeah. So he's like a kid who's like trying out new material.
Sure.
Fuck. Wrong life, wrong time. He's selling TV shows. God damn it!
You could be just living off that syndication cash right now.
102 episodes of That's My Goof. Boom. Hello USA Network. Hello, sick kids staying home from 4th grade having to watch 7 That's My Goofs in a row.
Yeah. You gotta catch that wave just so that it's the kid who does not have Netflix or TiVo.
Right. It's like I had to watch Wings. I watched so much Wings growing up. Oh.
I never watched Wings.
Exactly. You just weren't sick living in my town at that time with our cable package, which was bad.
It featured the Wings channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean USA? I think a 4th grade me might have called it the Wings channel.
I knew USA just as the Cartoon Express and like Up All Night and Silk Stockings commercials.
No.
I was like, what is this show?
There was basically some executive at USA who in 1997 decided to flip a giant fucking lever and take USA from Wings to Walker, Texas Ranger. He's like, nope, no more Wings.
Our Wings tapes are worn out.
Our Betamax Wings collection.
Maybe Betacam.
Yeah.
Not Betamax.
Oh, it's going to be a bad podcast.
No, it's going to be fine.
Chris, I like that haircut, by the way.
Thanks.
It's clean. It's professional. It's like restrained.
You're all grown up, Chris.
I like it.
Yeah, I was like, what would Sean think is clean, restrained, and professional? And then
You said it out loud to the barber?
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, no, I got you.
Just the thing.
Well, I got this haircut literally downstairs in this building.
Oh, really?
And so I was just like, there's this guy who kind of walks through here about once a week or so.
Always looks angry wearing a hoodie. Probably wearing a baseball cap.
Hoodie up, yeah.
Hoodie. He's got a hoodie and a baseball cap. If you can imagine what his hair would look like, give that to me.
That's not where
She's like, oh, the executive contour, please.
No, I was thinking like, that guy's demeanor. What would that guy respect on a head?
We all know the answer.
Yeah.
Looks good.
He delivered.
Yeah, he knew what I
He
was
fucking
talking about.
delivered.
He somehow knew what I was exactly what I was getting at. I don't.
He's like, oh, famous.
He actually, yeah, like the tip,
Oh yeah, famous Vanderman.
the tip of a comb touched your lips and he said, shh, say no more.
But then you went,
And then he spun you around.
because there was wax paper on the comb, and then he said, "That's my goof."
Video games.
Were you guys either of you at the experimental gameplay sessions at GDC this past year?
Not this year.
Okay. There was a game that was on display there called Mushroom 11 that looked really cool. And it's essentially a platformer where you control a big amorphous blob, and you can, using your cursor on the desktop version or your finger on the mobile version, like press down on a section of this blob, and it causes that part of it to like disintegrate, and then those parts regenerate themselves like elsewhere. So that's the only interaction you have in the entire game, and that's how you move around. Like the way you move to the left, for example, is by like disintegrating parts of it on the right, which then regenerate towards the left, and therefore now on average the whole thing is moved to the left. Does that make sense at all? It's interesting, and but you can start doing crazier shit, like splitting it into two and like forcing it into directions before it can regenerate itself, and like you solve like, you know, increasingly complex like physics puzzles and stuff by doing this. And I remember looking at it on the screen and being like, wow, this looks really awesome. I want to play this. And then it was in the IGF, so I did get to play it, and I really, really liked it. I played it had like 4 worlds essentially in the version I played. 2 through 4 worlds 2 through 4 were listed as being in beta, so I guess they're still being tested or whatever. But it was really, really cool, and it's a game that I would highly recommend, you know, whenever it's out and playable in a form that can be bought by someone. And one of the things that was really nice about it is that it felt unusual in the context of the modern IGF, in that it was really just about exploring this one specific design idea to like a high degree of thoroughness. Like it was, a lot of IGF games are so ambitious and expansive, which is awesome. But this felt almost more like kind of the World of Goo style of games. Like this game is definitely smaller than World of Goo for sure, but it's that kind of thing of like, here's one mechanic and we're just going to make it really fun and come up with a bunch of cool places to put it. And I liked it. I played all the way through it, and it was really charming and like really well executed. And it has this kind of weird, like grimy industrial visual thing, which in a lot of games I feel like wouldn't be particularly interesting. But in this game, considering you're basically moving a ball of goo around, it seemed fine. Like it was well executed visually, and the music suited it well. Like just everything felt of a piece, like it just, you wouldn't necessarily be like, you're not going to believe the graphics in this game, but just it all came together in a way that I thought was like effective and cool. And it was fun. It was super fun.
Mushroom 11?
Mushroom 11.
Do you know the developer?
I do not remember the developer.
I do know that Mushroom 11, I think, is one of the games that Indie Fund is funding.
Oh, good. Cool.
And I think it also was either in the PAX 10 or was at one of the Indie Mega booths, because I've seen it. So it's been publicly shown before a couple times.
Cool. Good.
But yeah,
Yeah. So it's definitely coming out. I mean, it must be, because it was clearly like the presentation was all drastically scaled up from GDC. The GDC one was essentially a prototype, whereas the version I played was obviously a much
on
more
the road
finished
to
game.
shipping.
Yeah. Like they did all new graphics and stuff, but it was cool. I know.
It had all new graphics.
3 new levels. Yeah.
You got to just keep 3 new levels, 5 new whatever, Mushroom 11.
What, until you get up to 11?
Yeah.
Horrible, Jake.
Or it's like 10 new Mushroom, 11 download. So you just have the name of it briefly mentioned. So then someone puts it in the supercut of movies saying their own titles. The guy says,
Mushroom 11. Like it would be a weird
like
cadence
RoboCop 2. Anyway, reader mail.
Oh yeah, reader mail. Oh man, also a thing that happened this week. Sorry, Nick and I finally got internet that is not terrible. Hey
everyone at home, guess what? Someone has good internet now.
Fuck you. So every night since that happened, I've been streaming my Spelunky Daily Challenge at twitch.tv/idlethumbs. So if you want to watch me play Spelunky, aka the game that I play now,
AKA the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is your Irene Adler to your Sherlock Holmes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You can watch that at twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Which you can once again get to from our homepage.
At idlethumbs.net, probably.
You can.
Reader mail.
What is reader mail?
I don't know, but Chris can download it super fast now.
Well, it's the same from this office.
I have the slowest internet now out of all of us. Well, this arms race must continue. I get T1.
I was actually going to point out that it's mail from user readers.
Oh.
If you
have some reader mail,
write us
at
questions@idlethumbs.net. Such as Save Scumming by Anim. Dear Thumbs, you seem to have your definition of save scumming backwards. The exploit isn't that when you load up a save, you know you're going to get the same results. It's the exact opposite. It's when you load up a save and a shot that previously missed suddenly hits. By saving the random seed by default, Firaxis games usually avoid that min-maxi save scumming rather than being especially susceptible to it, which is really cool. The option to disable that, which was added in the third patch for XCOM Enemy Unknown, is actually a concession to save scummers who are used to being able to save, shoot, and reload on miss over and over until a shot finally hits in other games. Just wanted to point that out. Keep up the good work. Best regards, Annam. Which is a really good point.
Yep.
In retrospect, I totally fucked that up. Yeah. God, XCOM. I haven't played it in a bit because I was out of town for Thanksgiving until 2 days ago. But I really liked it. I forget if I mentioned this last time we recorded or not. I can't remember. But I started a new game of XCOM Enemy Unknown because I didn't get to the new stuff fast enough.
You mean of Enemy Within?
I'm sorry, Enemy Within. And I wanted to kind of adjust my strategy from the beginning to have more like soldiers in cyborg suits and all that shit.
Naturally.
And I just enabled every single like weird gameplay modifier that was available just because I wanted the most different possible experience. And it's cool. Like actually, I think we got an email about this exact thing. If we didn't already read it. So I just remembered that. Let me see if I can if I can find it. Sorry, I didn't really plan this very well, did I? Maybe we already read it. I can't remember. Let me read another one for now. Sorry.
What basically were you going to say, if you can encapsulate it quickly?
Someone recommended one of the new game options in XCOM. I can't remember if this was actually part of XCOM Any Within, if it was one of the previous DLCs that happened in between when I last played the game. But anyway, there's an option you can do that causes soldiers' skill options to be randomly generated so usually what happens in the new XCOM is when your soldiers level up, you get the option of 2 skills, but it's always the 2 skills they'll get at that specific rank, depending on what class they have. So like a heavy weapons soldier or a support class, for example, of major rank will always have the same 2 skill options. But with this flag, they're all the random skills you choose are all just taken from a big pool of skills. So it just means your soldiers end up with much more varying skills at different levels. It makes your squad kind of more diverse.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Nalty at Gmail. Oh, I shouldn't read this email address. That's what it's from. This person writes, "You think Valve's hats were bad? Arguably, selling ships in Star Citizen for a profit on the gray market was worse. That's right, a crowdfunding gray market selling limited editions and lifetime insured ships at a profit. Now, obviously, this isn't going to make it in the next Idle Thumbs. I think you guys said you record 5 days before the podcast goes up, but as of right now, December 3rd, 2013, at 5:20 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Gotcha.
Star Citizen is sitting at $33,685,286. You can blame this rapid spike to the ending of lifetime insurance coming on ships for original and veteran backers, as of November 26th, as well as daily specials of limited release ships, at least some of which I anticipate will wind up on the gray market. So theoretical ships for a game that isn't even out yet were being sold in the gray market as a markup. And you can say whatever you like about buying ships not actually being buying ships, but rather making an assessment on how much money we're willing to donate towards Star Citizen's development, and then picking a complimentary spaceship as a thank you. I myself have used that excuse myself, but the $1,000 worth of imaginary spacecraft I have to my name beg to differ. Oh my God. I bought imaginary spaceships because the concept art and videos were shiny. Beware the power of the ooh shiny at your peril. So people sell these hypothetical ships on the market, demanding a premium over the original sale price, either because they're limited stock or they have lifetime insurance, the latter of which is a luxury that backers after a given date were not allowed access to on the bulk of the mundane ship packages. It's true there are some kind-hearted souls out there who are also laundering ships for LTI to new backers, either at veteran/original backer cost or taking a minimal cut equal to the difference between the original backer cost and the new backer cost, but it was just as low-bally and overpriced as anything that Valve has ever had to deal with vis-a-vis hats. It's a certain kind of horrible, too, because the end goal for Cloud Imperium Games is not to garner a profit from the sales of ships, but to fund Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there. I apologize for the rambling train of thought as I drink my second cup of coffee, but I thought it was interesting to bring it up since it all ties into secondary markets and hats. People will gamify anything these days.
That is... wow.
Yeah.
You missed the TF2 Hat Mafia stuff.
I know,
though.
I'm going to catch up on that. But the thing that I find really interesting about the Star Citizen thing, because it's so much fucking money now, is that in how sophisticated the tiers are and the rewards and how they lock out and how they have timing and how they like theoretically impact the game.
Well, it's got this weird speculative aspect to it.
Right. Well, if you take away the speculative aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think for the purposes of this mental exercise, you can. You're really just seeing what free-to-play looks like on the spreadsheets of people who have free-to-play games.
There's no game. There's just the weird meta stuff right now. The game doesn't exist.
You're only seeing the, buy this stuff. Oh, this is limited. Oh, this is going to be gone. This is going to be here for a minute.
Yeah.
And
weird.
These are the ones that are successful.
Yeah,
these are the ones that aren't.
The CFO at the free-to-play company down the street gets to see the $33.6 million, total at the end and be like, that's right. But we, because it's being crowdfunded, also now get to see that, which is so fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, we're just seeing the power of that, because $33 million is so... It's 10 times anything that's been done on Kickstarter, right? What was this Broken Age?
3.3, and then
there are things that have hit like 10, but not games.
Not video games.
Yeah,
there have been one or two higher video game Kickstarters, but I mean neither of them is anywhere remotely. I mean,
Yeah,
they're-
because
it's
I
like-
mean, this is not. I mean,
It's still 7 to 10 times.
yeah, this is so sophisticated.
yeah,
Lifetime insurance on a thing that doesn't exist.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is like
Well,
an
the way
Asimov
you can
meets the
right.
Emperor's New
Well,
Clothes.
So this is the thing. You can imagine Blizzard doing so. There's stuff like this that has always existed in things like World of Warcraft, where oh man, I got this pet that you could only have gotten during BlizzCon, and like
Right.
now I'm going to sell it for like $5,000 on eBay.
yeah.
Blizzard could have just been selling all that shit themselves if they wanted to. In fact, I think they started doing that at one point in World of Warcraft, and I just haven't kept up with that at all in years. But I remember they started selling.
we
like,
don't get into
expensive
that
mounts
stuff
and
again because I do want to listen to that. But yeah.
But I just mean it's the same principle that is at work there. It's just that these, that's in this case, they're actually accepting money for this stuff, like up front.
Can I tell you something that's like I'm thinking now from a development standpoint, and I just had this like one like thought. So you have to plan out your development of your game. Like you have to know what you're going to build, so you can build it and schedule against it and scope against it, and like come in on budget. But there's nothing more boring than over planning and over promising every little detail of your game, and then having to just go execute it. Like this stuff you discover along the way that some you cast aside and some stuff you didn't know was going to be there, and then you make.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is the joy of the job to me. So making all these financial promises on features that have to be in the game, and then just being like, oh, we have to implement that now, and not having the freedom to be like, well, is it that good? Does it add value? Is it making the experience better?
I totally agree.
This sounds so depressing to me.
That's one of the reasons I'm not crazy about a lot of like Kickstarter stretch goals,
Right.
Where they start being like, we're gonna add in
right.
3 extra weapons and like this and that, and it's like, well, what if the game isn't better with that in it?
Right. Well, I mean, I think we can
Like,
all
how are you
agree to
gonna
that.
even know?
I hadn't thought about it from the other side. I'd always been thinking about it from the customer side, which is like, so you're just going to add a bunch of features that we don't know if make the game better or not. Awesome. That sucks. Great.
Yeah, but
then I started
that's
thinking
not
about
what people say though.
No. I'm thinking in this room. We as in like
sure. Okay.
you and I having this conversation. Like I think we've had this conversation before. Like, we don't know if that's going to make the game better. Why would you promise to put that in?
It also takes
I'm actually
all
thinking
improvisation out of
Yeah, I'm just thinking of actually from being a designer.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about it from the audience perspective. I'd
No, I
always
was
been thinking
saying-
about that stuff from the audience perspective. I'd never been thinking about it, about having to go to work in the morning
Yeah.
and implement a feature that I didn't believe in, but I'd already promised.
Yeah. No, totally. That's ultimately like, I mean, not even just from the standpoint of like, am I gonna enjoy that or not, but just from the standpoint of like, is it actually gonna make the game better? Like that's frustrating. It's just whenever I think about it, I always think of it from the perspective of it being 6 months down the line, and then you're like right in the middle of the development of the game, and you're like, oh god, we said we would do this thing. Doesn't make any sense
It's
right
gotta be
now.
insane to look at the Star Citizen production calendar where they've got $33 million, and it's like, okay, month 17 is when we bring deck-to-deck navigation and construction online. Month 18 is when we bring, like, they just...
It's so funny because only games seem to be really like video games seem to be subject to that.
Well, it's because they're things you use.
Right, but like, so talking to Rob Daviau, who's a designer of Risk Legacy, he's making a new game called Seafall, and whether he like actually brings it to Kickstarter or anything like that, we were just talking about board game Kickstarters, and he's like, yeah, if I ever design a board game that went to Kickstarter, like, why would I ever have a design? Like, we just it was so natural, like, oh no, you would never have a design goal, a design feature tied to stretch goals. Like, why would you ever do that? You know, and that was just like. He never thought about that as an idea that you could do it just as readily in a board game as you could. He's like, no, you just make everything a little nicer, and you
and that's what board game Kickstarters have done.
And like, I mean, that was like, it was funny because talking to him about it, I kept trying to say like, oh my god, so features attached to stretch goals are the worst, and he like looked at me like I was an idiot for a second. He was like, what are you talking about?
Well, I think the reason is that video games have like capital C content and board games don't. Right? Like board games have like content in the sense that they have like some theme and like some physical pieces and stuff, but that stuff is largely to facilitate the systems, and like that's true of some games as well, but a lot of video games. That's true of a lot of video games, but also a lot of video games exist because the content is awesome, or at least a significant percentage of them exists because the content is awesome. It's like, I want to play this shooter and I like playing it, so I want there to be more levels so I can play more of it. Or like,
but it seems like these stretch goals are like indiscriminately between content and system.
I don't think that's true.
I think
they're overwhelmingly
there's going to be like
side.
there's going to be a weapon damage system that does blah,
really.
blah,
I think they're much more often on the content side. I think it's usually more of something, stuff like that, or like.
But I mean, isn't lifetime insurance on a ship that can be destroyed a systemic feature?
But that's something that I think they were going to have no matter what. It's just a matter of whether you get it or not as a player.
Yeah. It's just so funny how many.
Like I think in the case of a game like this, it's probably less of a less damaging in the ways we were talking about than it would be on a lot of games, because they're basically just signing up from the beginning to make a game that's absolutely enormous. And they're just like, well, we're just going to have a bunch of different ships in it.
Yeah.
These are what they're all going to be. And they can kind of just do that forever, theoretically. I mean, it's obviously more time, more money, and like more effort on the design side to make it all work. But so I backed this game, but I haven't really kept up super detail with all of the stuff they're promising or whatever. But I would imagine they're not parceling out like major game systems. I think they're just saying, well, we're going to have build like another ship that looks like this one in this time.
Yeah.
And it'll be bigger than the other one, and it'll have these things on it instead of that. And like, it's not, a board game is as far from that as you get. A board game is like every single system and piece of content in the game has to be like meticulously balanced against all the other ones. This is like, it's an entire universe of shit flying around. Like, it's like, sure.
There's no entire quadrant of a board game.
You can buy this ship because you can. We'll make that one too. It's weird. It's weird. It's like just kind of stuff goes in it. I mean, I don't mean, it sounds like I could be saying this in a dismissive way. I don't mean it that way. I just mean any one piece of content in Star Citizen is a lot less important to the whole.
Right.
Just unto itself, compared to like one board game piece in like a Rob Daviau game, which is like, has got to be super carefully integrated with everything else. I'm not saying that, by the way, I'm not saying any of this to say like I'm in favor of just like parceling out your whole game on Kickstarter or whatever, but they are different. They're made in different ways to some degree.
Yeah.
But games, you're right. The video games are more susceptible to that, and I think a lot of it is because like it's a thing that you as an individual want to feel you have ownership over, either in a game like Star Citizen because you have like you control like one guy in this big universe and your stuff is yours, and you name the character and you own it theoretically and blah 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 blah. But even in the case of a single player game, you're owning the experience in a specific way, and that you are embodying the character and like you're part of it. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Total side note: Rob showed some of his like design problems and like ideas behind his new game, Seafall. Mm-hmm. That game's gonna be fucking cool.
Nice.
I'm really excited. It's
a
legacy game, the same as Risk Legacy.
Yeah.
But he showed that at NYU Practice, and I'm stoked whenever that's available.
Nice.
Yeah, game's gonna be really cool. Also, his attention to detail into sort of the packaging and design is already apparent in the photographs of the prototype.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
So good.
Yeah, that was a super, super strong point in Risk Legacy.
Yeah. Did you talk about that on the podcast? His Risk Legacy talk?
Only a little bit.
When you practice? It's so good. His talk was far and away the best. I was going to keep going. We were searching for freedom, but I won't.
Oh, sorry.
Just going to...
I was actually engrossed in Star Citizen stretch goals.
I was just going to talk about how good Rob Daviau is.
Oh, he's super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. I am really excited about him making a thing.
Well, he pointed out that Risk Legacy is a game that balances itself because the players are expected to use the permanent scars and bonuses
to compensate for...
To balance it.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, he sort of said, I know that the game's balanced through the first, 3 or 4 games, but the board is built for you to play 15.
Right.
And at a certain point, it's just a fucked game from a balance standpoint, and I had to make peace with that. But I also had to know that people are going to deliberately try and balance and counterbalance the game.
Yeah.
Well, I came into that game 3 games into someone else's campaign and was out in 5 minutes. It was it was just, it was...
Right.
It was my fault to a degree, but also just the way the world had created itself up until that point was just this is real bad. I'm in a real bad situation, immediately.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I mean, I'd really like to play a full campaign of that. You know,
You played the first one though on my board, right?
I played the first game on yours,
Okay.
and then I played like the third or fourth.
So that
at
board
work.
that's it. We can do more.
Oh,
on
we
that
should.
one.
Yeah, we should do more. That was fun.
Yeah. Do we have more?
We do have more. Brian Hicks writes, "My wife and Nick Brecken."
Oh my god.
Hey guys, well, I
Oh,
play
hold on,
video
I'm
games.
Just gonna go away. Slam.
Well, I play video games, and my wife does not. My wife does not. We often listen to Idle Thumbs in the car. The witty banter keeps her entertained despite her lack of game knowledge. In an effort to give her more context about Idle Thumbs, I showed her the Kickstarter video the other evening. She immediately yelled at me for adding concrete images to the voices of the hosts. She wasn't repelled or anything, but she simply did not expect to see you guys beyond the caricatures she had created in her mind. Of course, absent from the Kickstarter video was Nick Brecken. As I was about to mischievously shatter another one of her mental pictures, she venomously uttered, "Don't say anything about Nick Brecken." She refuses to view a picture of him in order to maintain his status as a disembodied voice. My question, have you guys ever experienced this phenomenon either with literary characters cast into film or seeing a picture of a radio host that differed from your mental images? Thanks and keep up the good work. Brian and Anna. P.S. She wasn't really repulsed or anything. She said you were nice-looking guys.
I'm glad he had to say that she was never
P.S.
repulsed twice.
Could have not been in the postscript, you son of a bitch.
No, it wasn't in the postscript. He said she wasn't repulsed. P.S. She wasn't. She really wasn't.
Swear to God. Yeah.
It's fine.
Don't say anything about Nick Brecken.
The answer to this, for me, and I think for a lot of folks, is the sweet, sweet voice of Terry Gross.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, you've mentioned this before.
Yeah. Where, like, you see Terry Gross and you're like, that's not Terry Gross. Just like this, like, small, bookish woman with, like, very unassuming. Because when you hear her voice, she just, like, fills up your car with, like,
totally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can't even think about it.
You know that weirdly, this is so strange to say now, but I had that experience when I first saw a picture of Ira Glass from This American Life. And what's so funny now is that I can't imagine
what Ira Glass looks exactly like that guy.
But I remember when I saw but it's just a testament to like how weird brains are that the first time I saw a picture of him, I was like, what? No, that's got to be a different.
What? You just look like some like Gen X radio guy?
Yeah.
Oh, who would have thought?
I know. It's weird. It's weird. But that's actually the reason that I don't like seeing movies before I've read the book if they're based on a book. Like I remember, Jake, when I think it was you were the one who first linked me the trailer to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And I'm like, oh man, this looks awesome. And then I just immediately went and read the whole book before the movie came out because I didn't want to have that experience of like having all my mental images set in stone before I've even had a chance to develop them. Yeah, that's a thing I really don't like. I mean, it's fine to, it's fine. Like,
I'm also okay with it if I just make peace with not reading the book. That happens to me a lot.
Sure, I've had that experience.
I'm just never gonna read the book.
Yeah. I've had that experience as well. Of course, it's more just going when I know I can never go in the other direction and I want to. That's the part that bothers me.
Yeah,
but yeah, there are definitely plenty of movies. Obviously, I've seen plenty of movies based on books I haven't read. It's fine.
Do we have more mail?
I'm sure we do.
Yeah. Did you have one that you wanted to read, or do you not?
No.
Okay,
I do not.
Cliff Boyd writes TI-86 Mario and the Doom virus.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we were talking TI-86 Mario last week.
I heard it.
Thumbs, I've spent the last year and a half consuming retro video games like I have a drug addiction. I've been drinking nostalgia with YouTube channels, articles, and podcasts while I bask in childhood reminiscence, historical appreciation, and pixelated infatuation. I've been playing through the past using authentic hardware, not emulation mostly, through which I relive memories and have amazing new experiences. About 15 minutes into your sports episode, I can actually feel the nostalgic juices flooding my spine, perhaps more intensely than ever due to the last 5 minutes of conversation. I've never written before to any of the many podcasts I listen to, but I felt an urge to tell you about my own history with TI-86 Mario. I took Algebra 1 and 2 in junior high. I'm 28 now, so that was around 1996 to 98. My circle of 5 or 6 friends traded games on our link cables. By far the greatest and most expansive of these was Mario. We used to create the most insane levels to share them with one another. The rule was you had to beat your own level before you passed it around. I made several, and honestly I think I was the best at it, probably because I was the most into it. My Cliff's World levels required pixel perfection at times, while at others they messed with your perception to create intentionally cheap deaths. They weren't skill-based really, you just had to figure out what to do and keep trying till you did it. For example, 8 of the blocks you could place in the level editor, which was grid-based, would form a background box like those that appear in the early levels of Mario 3, the ones that are different colors and look like they're screwed onto the back of the level set. There was a placeable grid piece for each corner, and one for each of the side, top, and bottom. You could stand on the top 2 corners and the top piece for the middle, just like in Mario 3. I had one level that was set in the sky where I used just the top middle of the box, just a line of pixels that you could stand on, to create a platform through the clouds. Clouds were just for decoration, but they did take up a grid space. I had the player run across a line in the sky with clouds all around for some time, but eventually I put a cloud where it appeared to be right under the platform, when in reality, it replaced the platform they were running on, sending them plummeting to their doom. It didn't take too many tries before they figured out why they kept falling, but it was a lot of fun to watch them struggle with it. Man, quick aside here. I totally forgot about that part of TI-86 Mario level creation, but it's totally true. Because it was all like 1x1 tile-based. You could grab pieces that were super special cased in the original Mario. Like in the original Mario, you would only ever include certain blocks in the context of other blocks,
right?
So they made contextual sense. But in the level editor, you could put any of them anywhere you wanted to, so you could totally abuse shit like, this is a platform you can jump up through, but will not fall down through unless you press down and hold jump, you know. Right. But you could like put that in a place that made no sense. Right. And the player just had to like explore it.
Have you seen the Super Mario World hacked level stuff that people have made and put on YouTube? One where Mario's
seen some of that stuff.
Velocity actually just propels him through a level that is effectively a complete musical
like a
composition.
Rube Goldberg machine and shit. Yeah,
it's
effectively.
Weird.
Yeah. No, that stuff is super cool. Anyways, continuing this guy's email. Speaking of Doom, I also used T86 Mario as a tool to create a virus to share with my friends. Obviously, I was a good friend. There were 3 files you had to have in your calculator to play the game. One you'd select to play the game, one you would select to access the level editor, and a third that I guess did some stuff behind the scenes to allow the game to play, maybe store the levels. When I first received the TI-86 Mario game via link cable, my friend forgot to give me the third file. When I tried to play the game, I got a screen full of messed up pixels instead of the game. I couldn't do anything, including turn off the calculator. I was eventually forced to remove then reinsert the batteries. When I turned the calculator back on, I was welcomed with the dreaded mem clear to defaults set page. Everything I had was gone. It wasn't a big deal, as I didn't have much I cared about losing yet. I used to create programs with the calculator code to solve my math homework problems. I did it for fun, not because it was efficient or helpful, since we had to show our work anyway. Eventually I discovered it was possible to delete programs and files with a line of code. So I created a program called Doom. I told my friends it was an awesome calculator port of the PC game. When you open the program, you get a title screen that says something like something generic like press enter to start. You'd then get a loading screen that would work its way up from 0 to 100, displaying a loading percentage. At 98, I would cause the program to exit, and just before it exited, I would delete the third necessary file required for TI-86 Mario. I would say, I wonder why it's not working. Usually that they would then just delete the Doom program, and life would continue on until the next time they tried to play Mario, and everything on their calculator was erased. Wow, that's brutal.
That's a monster.
Yeah.
By reading this email, you have now accepted my Doom virus. Don't try to play Mario.
I don't think I ever told my friends what happened to them, and I don't think they ever figured it out.
These are your friends?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
But it was a ton of fun to see my evil plot come to fruition, one friend after another. It's terrible, I know. I'm really not that kind of person. I wasn't even then. Maybe a little bit then. I worked with engineers and programmers at my last job, and one day we got into conversation about why people create viruses. Obviously, there are malicious virus creators that seek to steal information or install adware, but some viruses serve only to destroy. I shared my story with the coworkers. I can't put it into words that are sensible, perhaps, but I think I know why people make viruses. It's because it feels good to win. Thanks for the awesome memories and for giving me the opportunity to share them. It completely blew my mind that you talked about TI-86 Mario. I wish I could play all the levels my friends and I made years ago.
But I erased them with my fucking virus.
Alas, they no longer exist, but in my cloudy memory, which will itself find its own doom in the eventual grave. If you find out how to get a copy of the game, let me know.
Poignant.
Maybe we can exchange levels sometime. It'd be cool if there's a community that shared and rated levels they've created. I love the podcast more now than ever, Cliff.
P.S. I have a copy of id Software's Doom ported to the calculator. Maybe I can share that with you as well.
Cliff, you are in luck because I just confirmed the other day that ticalc.org, which is where I got all this stuff. I don't know about you, Cliff, but I got all that stuff from there back in the day. And in fact, there is still an entire, like a huge FTP. You could just upload stuff to this site via FTP, as I recall. And it's really well organized.
You're telling him he's going to put Doom up there.
You can still go to the TI-86 Mario folder, and there's a subfolder of user-created levels, and there's a ton of them in there. And you can
Are yours in there? Are yours in
there? My World 1 is in there. It is Christon.
Oh, but then I'm sure it says,
Christon.
right, Chris Ramo with the code for level 2.
Yeah, it does. And I don't have those ones anymore, obviously. But Christon World 1 is still in there. And it's crazy because it has the last modified date, which is just when the file was uploaded, and it was from 1999. Mine was actually one of the earlier ones in that folder. Like if you sort by date.
You were early to the T86 Mario scene.
I think 98 was the earliest ones, and then the latest ones were 2005. There hasn't been anything uploaded to that folder since 2005.
Well,
yes.
New files about to be added, it sounds like.
Well, Doom is not a Mario level. He would have to put it somewhere else.
But he'll probably rename it like Super Mario 3D Land recreated, like level 2, like something. Oh my God! Somebody built an entire level in the new. Oh.
Yeah. But it makes me really want to play this again. But there probably isn't a good way to do that.
There's got to be a T86 emulator.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway,
which you can then use an NES controller to play, and it would be really ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that'd be really funny. But yeah, that whole site is still up. The archive is still completely up. All those levels are still there. My stupid levels are still there, which I don't remember the slightest thing about. Yeah, it's weird. It was weird to see. It was crazy to come up against like digital evidence of what feels like essentially just a past life of mine.
Right.
That was 14 years ago. Which, in the grand scheme of things is nothing. But I mean, on the internet, it's a long fucking time.
Right. It's like half the life of the internet.
Yeah. Like when I have a zip file in it where Windows just says last modified and it says like 1992 or something, like that shit still blows my mind. Seeing that in the digital realm is such a crazy thing because everything is so transient,
right.
Especially on the internet. Like that's going away because everything is constantly being like recreated like automatically on servers. But when you end up with some file that is actually just genuinely old, it kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was really cool that I had MP3 files that said 1996 on them, even though they were just like cooked bullshit that had weird like blips all over them and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And then at some point I uploaded them to a cloud service and it recognized them as legitimate files and now will only serve me the master ones. So I don't have my old high school MP3s anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I did fool the Apple cloud service, obviously, into thinking that those files that I downloaded from my friend's web server in 1996 were a CD that I bought. So that's good, I guess. The internet.
Take that, Steve Jobs.
Oof.
Too soon?
He knew what he was getting into.
Yeah.
With the iTunes Match service, it's a fantastic service.
I use the Amazon.
Anyway, if you have questions
Cloud
for us,
Player,
please write
similar.
some questions at idlethumbs.net.
Audible podcast.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you next week.
Goodbye.
End every episode with that from now on.
That's my goof.
5.